Welcome to UN Autonomous College. Today we are going to discuss about that is a new concept and the new topic that is known as process and creation phases in Unix topic. Here we are discussing different types of processes and how to use it and how to process it and how to create some steps, some commands in our programs, command based programs in this Unix concept we are learning in this topic. Today we are going to discuss about some outlines about this topic that is known as the introduction. Here we can give some introduction about this topic. Then we are learning what are the different steps are used in this part. Then we are learning what are the different examples are related to this topic. First of all, now we are going to discuss about that is known as a topic. What is the meaning of process creation? Here the process creation is achieved through the fork method or fork method command, which is a system call. By using this fork command we can invoke or we can call some method in it. According to that method invocation we are getting some consequence from our result. Here the newly created process is called the child process and the process that initiated it and is called the parent process. Here the process when execution is started, then we are getting some consequence and through that consequence we can retrieve some result. According to that result we can start a process at the end of execution. Here after the fork command, which is known as a system call, here now we have two processes that is known as parent and child processes. In these two processes can be invoked, can be processed after the call of this fork method, and that is known as a system call method. The system call method helps to invoke a systematic process from one end to another end. There is no any alternative techniques can be implemented to invoke this method, so that this method is so helpful and so reliable process through which you can be invoked from one end to another end. Next we are learning how to differentiate them. What differentiate means? Parent process to child process. This differences is generally marked or remarked through this technique that is known as, which is very simple, and it is through their written values. That means it can be differentiated through the written values of our system call method that is known as a fork method. Next we are learning what is the process. Really we can learning about what to say, what is the real activity of a process. Here a process is a program in execution state. That means whenever we can say process is being executed, then it is known as a process. We know that in our operating system also learning we have more than one processes, and that processes is known as a dynamic state of a specific type of program. Each and every dynamic state must be executed, must be processed through a specific category, and that is known as system invocation category. In the case of program, we know that each and every program is known as a set of instruction, and each and every set of instruction must be invoked, must be executed after the invocation of a system call. That means each and every process must be ready for execution and which are scheduled in a ready queue. Whenever the process is being running, that means a scheduled process is moved to the running state. In that running state it is being executed. If any type of halt, any type of interruption is occurred, it can automatically move forward to the waiting state. At the time of waiting state, whenever system in the waiting state is lies, in that moment any type of fault is arise in that process, then it is automatically forwarded to system ready queue. In that ready queue it is being processed, means it is waiting for the processing. Whenever its processing is being completed, then it is being exited from the schedule. It is a general way of execution technique. There is no any alternative techniques which is implemented in that part. Okay, fine. Now we can focus in that slide. Here what is the program? A program is a file containing the information of a process and how to build it during the runtime. When you start that execution of the program, then it is loaded into the RAM and starts the executing technique. Here each process is identified with a unique positive integer called as process ID, or simply PID, means process identification number. Here the kernel usually limits the process ID. We know that each and every process must be identified uniquely with a specific type of positive integer value. That integer value is denoted as process ID or PID technique. Here each process is identified, we know that, in a unique value that is known as a positive integer value, which is called as process ID or simply PID, and here the kernel usually limits the process ID, that is known as 32767 here, which is the configurable ID. By this configurable ID we can make different parts in our program. By using that process ID we can invoke more than one processes in this system. When the process ID reaches this limit, then it is reset again, and which is after the system processes range. Whenever it is crossed the process range, it is automatically move forward to the system, and that system may be your next or maybe the previous system. Here we are using that the unused process IDs from the counter that are then assigned to the newly created processes. We know that in our system we are creating more than one processes, but that processes are not being executed successfully. We need for that execution, and each and every execution is always depends on system movements. Whenever system moves from one system to another system, in that moment we are getting this kind of consequence which is generated in our Unix system. Next we are learning, this is a real figure through which we get denoted as one is a main process, which is known as a parent process. In this main process or parent process can be depends or can be invoked at the time of fork method. This fork method or system call invoked it. By this invocation we can invoke that parent class processes like your parent process or child process. This parent process and child process is invoked with the help of that fork method. So that this is a real method, which method helps us to invoke each and every part of a process, because you know that every process have the two part, one is known as a parent part, another known as a child part. Whenever this two part is being executed concurrently, in that moment we are taking the help of that fork method. This fork method is more reliable method. Through this method, or it is known as a system call, in that system call we can easily invoke some parent processes as well as some child processes. We know that in your example we are learning about it, that is known as a MS Office. In that MS Office is known as a main process, means parent process, and that parent process is linked with some child processes like your grammatical error checking, spelling error checking, and this is known as the subpart of that whole program. In that program we are getting some consequence which is the part of that system. Now we can focus on the slide. Here also we have some steps that is known as after creation of the child process. Let us see the fork method, which is known as a system call details, which is written in that part. First of all we can include, which is written as sys or types.h, and has include, that is known as unist.h. Then we are writing a PID, means process ID, and that process ID is invoked through this fork method. It is a general criteria in that part, and whenever this part is invoked, automatically we are getting some consequence. Next we are learning here, if a user want to create the child process after this call, there are two processes, that is known as, one is the existing one which is known as a parent process, and the newly created one is known as a child process. That means in our system we are creating two processes, one is known as existing process, another known as a child process. In that part we never create anything else. That's why we are using the fork method. Here the fork system called returns either of the three values. One is known as a negative value, which is indicated as an error and is unsuccessful in creating the child process. And if returns a 0 for the child process, then we can easily return a positive value for the parent process. This value is the process ID of the newly created child process. Whenever you are creating a new child, in that moment we are getting a positive value. Whenever we are not creating another new child, we can returning a 0 value. That's why we are creating this part. Next we are learning what are the different examples are related to this part. Here we are creating a Unix program, and that Unix program must be written like C part, and is part named as basic fork.c. That means it is a C program, but that program helps us to create some processes, that may be your parent process, that may be your child process. Okay. In this part we are including just one header file stdio.h, then including another header file that is known as sys or types.h, then including another header file that is known as unistd.h. Through these three header files we can add some predefined libraries in our program. Then we are going to writing here main method, and that main method is always return some value, that may be integer value. If we are not making any type of returning statement, then we can write a void. We know that in C or C++ we are using one specific type of keyword that is known as a void. That means void means nothing getting any value from the system invocation. Whenever system is automatically invoked, we are getting some consequence from it. At the time of consequence generation, we never move forward another new step, and that step may be some newly activated or may not be any newly activated. In this way we are generally created some system organization technique. Now we can focus on the slide. Here also we are defining is a void main method. In that method we have a method system call that is known as a fork system call. In that system call we are going to printing some statement like call fork method system call, which is written as a new line. Then we are returning some values in it. Whenever this method is not invoked, then we are getting some return value, means 0. If this process is being successfully created or executed, it is also creates two parts. One is a parent, another known as a child. Whenever it is being created, we are getting more than one processes can be executed simultaneously in our program. That's why Unix is so efficient operating system. We can give some different type of execution treatments or execution process. Through that process we can run more than one files. This is adding some execution steps here. We are adding here compilation steps. In that compilation we are adding a compiler. We know that is known as GCC compiler. Here GCC compiler helps to invoke this C file. We have more than one compilers like Turbo-C++ or Turbo-C compiler, ANSYS compiler. By using that compiler we can run more than one statements, more than one files which is being successfully executed in it. Similarly, in this statement also we can add a specific type of compiler like ANSYS compiler, which can also very helpful. But here in this Unix program we are generally using that is known as a GCC compiler, and through that GCC compiler we can execute that Unix process creation program which is saved in .c extension. That means we know that C is the best extension program or best programming part of your system, which is system reliable code. Through that reliable we can run more than one files. Now we can focus on the slide. Here also we are writing some compilation technique GCC basic fork.c. This is known as a C file, then -o, then we are writing a basic fork. Basic fork is known as a file name. In that file name we are creating more than one file name, but it is here we are only invoking a single process file that is known as a basic fork.c file. Next we are executing our program, that is known as the execution step. Here we can call that fork system call. Whenever that fork system call is invoked, we are generally getting a new process, that may be your parent process, that may be your child process. Then we are invoking a next fork system call. In the next fork system call we are creating some processes which is written as usually the after fork system call, the child process and the parent process would perform different tasks. If the same task needs to be run, then for each fork method call would run to power in n times. That means this fork method can be invoked more than one times. Here where n is the number of times fork method is invoked. If we want to invoke 2 times fork method, we are creating more than one parent process or child process. Here this fork method is being implemented. This fork method is called once, hence the output is printed twice, 2 power 1. Whenever if the fork is called, then say 3 times, then the output would be printed 8 times, and that means 2 to the power 3. That means we are creating more than one processes in it. Whenever if it is called 5 times, then it is prints 32 times as soon as 4th. If we increment that value, then it can generate more than one child processes or parent processes in the system. Having seen fork method which create the child process, and it is time to see the details of the parent and the child processes. So it is a general method technique. Through that technique we can invoke more than one system calls. Okay. Now we are learning how to write this program in our system. In this system we are generally writing here some codings which is related to our Unix program. In that part we are writing some Unix code like hash include std.h, then hash include sys or types.h, then unix std.h, then we are writing here main method. In that main method we are declaring some variable, and that variable is related to our PID, means process ID. Through that process ID we have create three IDs, that is known as the PID, my PID, then my PPID. We have the three variables. Through that three variable invocation we can create some process. In that PID we can get the process ID through that get process ID method. Then we can print the value, and before fork method means we can give print the value of the process ID. Then we can invoke that process ID through the fork method. If that fork method can invoke, it can generate some integer value which is stored in that PID. In that PID must be less than 0. Whenever it is less than 0, then it is invoked. Whenever that P error, that means whenever that fork method is being failure, then it is must return some value that is written as 1. Okay. Now we are going to invoke it, that is known as a child process, which is written as if PID is equal to 0, then we are printing here this child process. That means if PID is being equal to 0, that means there is not newly created any parent value, we are in the child state. That's where we are storing like 0 in PID. That means this is the child process. And here my PID getting the get PID method. Through that get PID method we can retrieve the process ID, and which is stored in that my PID. Then that my PPID is also used, and we can invoke get PPID. And then each or every method is invoked, we are getting number of process ID which is stored in this my PID and my PPID variable. Now we are going to printing it. Here the process ID is %d and PPID is known as %d. Then we are printing here my PID, then my PPID. Then we are printing the value of my PID value, then we are printing the my PPID value in our monitor screen. Then if it is not equal to 0, then the else part is executed, means is known as a parent process part. Here we are invoking the sleep method, means the process will be delayed in nature. Then we are printing here this is a parent process. Then my PID must be contain some value which is generated from that get PID method. Whenever that get PID method is invoked, it can create some value which is stored in that my PID. If you are invoking another variable like my PPID, whenever that my PPID variable is used, then where which is retrieved from that is invocating through that method that is known as get PPID method. Here the printf process must be invoked, and through that process invocation that my PID then my PPID is created, and which is printing in our monitor screen. Next we are printing like in a printf statement where newly created process is being generated, that is known as the process ID, and you have another child process ID which is printing in the PID state. If you are not getting any values, then it is automatically returned 0 to the main method. In this way we are running that program, as well as we are also getting some consequence through this program. Next we are learning how to compile that program in our system. Here the compilation and execution steps written here. Before the fork method, here the process ID is known as 1666629. Whenever this is the child process ID which is written as 616630, and here the PPID is known as 16629. Before the fork method, process ID is written as 16629. In this way we are creating more than one processes. Whenever that process is being created, it must be executed with their process ID, and through that process ID we can making a scheduling in our system, that is known as a CPU scheduling state. In that CPU scheduling state we are containing some algorithm, some scheduling criteria. Through that scheduling criteria we can making a serial processes in our system memory. Next we are learning what are the steps we are used in our process termination state. whenever a process can terminate in either of two ways. We know that if a process is being terminated, we can create two different ways, means as known as the process creation step, and next one known as process termination step. In that step we have some technique, that is means a creation technique, next modification technique, next some generation technique, and as well as we can say exit technique. In that exit technique or termination technique, we never create or never form any type of system creation methods. But in that slide we are generating more than one system criteria here. Now we can focus on that slide. In this slide also we are writing here abnormally occurs on delivery of certain signals, which say like terminate signal. If a signal is being invoked, we need to terminate that signal, and that terminate signal must be invoked through that exit method. Whenever that exit method is invoked, means the system call will be terminated. The difference between the exit method and that exit method is mainly cleanup activity. Whenever that exit method is invoked, automatically those processes are reserved our system time or system memory space. It is automatically clean up, and which is dynamically invoked in our Unix system. That's why we are using that exit method, and that exit method also helps to just make out of that process from that memory, so that the exit method does some cleanup before running the control back to the kernel. We know that the kernel is the most important part of our operating system. Through that kernel we can create some new process, as well as we can also create some child process in it. Here, while the exit method is invoked, we return the control back to the kernel immediately. That means through that kernel communication, which can generally create some process, and that process is successfully generated as well as successfully exit from their scheduling queue. And we know that in this way we can easily create some process as well as we can terminate some process, so that which is always related to our general operating system, that may be Windows, that may be Unix, Linux, any type of operating systems we are using in our subject. But here this Unix process must be generated in a specific sequence, must be ended with a specific sequence, which is depends on that programming part, so that here that exit method is always invoked at the end of that process, so that whenever that exit method is invoked, automatically the system will be clean up and out from that computer memory. Okay, fine. And some enhanced part will be discussed on your next PPT. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.